Sports Roundtable back at ya. And it is that time. I hope everybody tuning in. Facebook Live, please go to SRT Sports Talk Radio. You can find us, watch us in studio, because we have the guests in. And let me just say this, our contribution to the NFL and Super Bowl week is to bring awareness to sex trafficking, sexual assault awareness. Super Bowl event is one of the biggest targets for sex trafficking. Matter of fact, today as I was driving in, 33 people was arrested for sex trafficking in Atlanta just a few hours ago. So if you don't think it's real, believe that it is. And in studio, I have the founder, executive director of My Sister Keepers of Atlanta, Miss Dawn Pete, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay! Thank you so much for having us. So on behalf of not only myself, but all of my sisters keepers around the world, around this nation, around the state of Georgia, and around the city of Atlanta, we thank you so much for having us, allowing us to have the opportunity to raise awareness, not only about sexual assault, but about sex trafficking as well. Most of us are so unaware about what's happening in our own communities, in our houses, in our neighborhoods, in our workplaces. We're so unaware. But I thank you all for giving me the opportunity to help raise that awareness, because most times we sleep. We need to wake up. It's time for our villages and our villagers to wake up and save our babies. Our babies are not given an opportunity to thrive, to have a chance at being a child, and we grow up after sexual assault and that's not treated, and then we grow up with all this stuff, this underlying stuff, all this hurt, this shame. We're using drugs, we're drinking alcohol, we're depressed, and we got to stop that. It's time for us to wake up and help give our babies an opportunity. So I am here on behalf of My Sisters Keepers, and we're going to talk about sexual assault. We're going to talk about mainly sex trafficking. Sex trafficking is huge, especially in the city of Atlanta, and most people were unaware. Here's that big word. Our word of the day, boys and girls, is awareness.
Awareness.
Yes, so I'm here to bring awareness about sex trafficking. And did you all know that sex trafficking is just as huge for little boys as it is for girls?
Wow.
Most of us didn't know that. So for all of our listeners who are here visiting Atlanta and our native Atlantans, we want you to avail yourselves to all the festivities, all the fun, the party, the entertainment, everything that the Super Bowl has to offer you. However, let me put a pause right there and an exclamation after I say this. Our babies are not for sale. You can't have our babies. You can't have our babies' minds. You can't have their hearts. You can't have their souls. No parts of our babies are for you. So enjoy the Super Bowl, but leave our babies alone. You came here by yourself and you'll leave by yourself. So again, we want to make sure that all our babies are safe during, before, and after Super Bowl. So when you all go back home, we're going to count our babies and they'll all still be there.
There it is.
And this is how one way the pimps get our babies. They're enticing. They're so cunning. They see a little girl. She's cute. They give her a little compliment and they'll say, "Hey, I got something for you. What you got for me?" And some of our little girls, they're a little extra. Yeah, they're a little extra because they're misled or misguided. And they'll go along with what he has to offer. They want to offer them a new outfit, clothes, their nails done. They want to give them new Jordans. But see, what our babies fail to realize that that's only temporary. That damage, that all that sex trafficking, that sexual assault does, it's lifelong. And I'm speaking from a survivor's perspective. No, I was not victimized by sex trafficking. I am a victim and let me correct myself. I was victimized by molestation. But right now, today, in 2019, I am a thriving survivor. And I am here raising awareness, bringing about education, and we're going to work so hard to bring those numbers down for victims who are sexually assaulted. Let me give you some numbers real quick.
Go ahead. Let's get it.
Let me tell you, I'm going to add a dollar amount to it because most of us, we can relate when you add dollars to it, right? So, $123,000 per year, per a lifetime, I'm correcting myself, is spent on a victim of sexual assault. I don't make $103K, $123K. How about you?
No.
Okay. So, do you know how
Not
long?
this week.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Game.
that's $123,000 spent over the lifetime trying to heal something that was caused so long ago. Wow. So if we stop it now, we educate our babies and tell them, I love you. Your daddy loves you. If daddy ain't home, if there's another male in that young girl's life or that young boy's life, we got to let them know how much they're valued, that their little voices do make loud noises. And we need to educate them and tell them if somebody approaches you and says something inappropriate to you, you scream, you tell. Don't carry that weight. Silence hurt. And we need kids to be able to push. Push. That's an acronym. Please understand. Silence hurt. And you know what we do? When we're silent, we internalize that. We're so afraid, or we've been taught, mama, daddy, big mama, my dear, all of them have taught us what goes on in this house stays in this house, not in this lifetime. In my lifetime, I want to hear what kids have to say.
Right.
These kids will look you in your face and they'll cuss you out. These kids will look in your face and have the audacity to ask you for some money and tell you what they can and cannot and will not do. Mamas and daddies, it's time for us to step up, take back our homes. We're not supposed to be our children's friends. I'm not your friend. I'll beat you up. Not in my house and not on my watch. So I am asking not only you guys, but for our audience to be vigilant not only during Super Bowl, because Super Bowl is just what? A few days away, then everybody goes back home. The hoopla goes home. Right. So all those folks who were caught up in sex trafficking, they're still left with that damage. They're still left confused. Because I'm telling you, when you're caught up in sex trafficking, I bet you they're so confused. They got to be confused. That's the reason why they end up in sex trafficking rings. I'm gonna read this name to you. Call it out. You guys are into sports. You're really huge in sports. Does this name, Ryan Murphy, ring a bell for you all? Ryan Murphy. Okay, I'll wait. No, I won't. Okay, Ryan Murphy. He is or was a safety for Denver Broncos. A couple of years ago during Super Bowl, he and his brother were detained, allegedly detained, because they were caught up in the sex trafficking ring. Now, I was so infuriated by one of the interviewer's responses to what took place that day. He says, oh, well, he's not a Denver Bronco. He was just hired for the practice squad. He really doesn't work for the Denver Broncos. He doesn't have a uniform on. And yeah, he didn't play that day. Does that make what he did, allegedly did, okay? Right. Do you know how much damage that does? How confusing it can be for us? And I'll tell you one thing that I know for sure. When you are victimized by sexual assault, be it date rape, incest, molestation, or sex trafficking, when you're victimized by any of those sexual assaults, there's some deep, deep pain. There's no place for us to go to express ourselves. So, here's the thing. When there's a place for everybody to go. When you are victimized or when you abuse alcohol, you go to AA. When you abuse drugs, you go to NA. There's a place for family members of drug abusers, Nar-Anon. When you are a sex offender, there's even a place for you to go. Unfortunately, you're mandated by the state to register as a sex offender. Stay in your house on Halloween so that you don't reoffend. However, when my sisters, when my brothers are victimized by sexual assault, there's no place for us to go except dark places. We get depressed. We have suicidal thoughts and tendencies. And for some of my brothers and sisters who are not strong enough, who don't have a strong support system, some of us carry out those suicidal thoughts. We don't have a place that we can revert back from, or somebody pulling and tugging for us to say, hey, baby, no. I love you. I care about you. Hey, my sister, no, you're not going to end up on no antidepressants. No, you're not going to a hospital. Come on, let me take you to a library. Let me take you to a movie. Let me give you something positive that you can replace those drugs, that alcoholism. Thank God I never succumbed to any of them. Mine, okay, I did have a drug of choice. Mine was food. I didn't get this big or this cute looking at food. I can cook and I can eat. So that's what I used as my coping mechanism. We all have one. Unfortunately, for some of us, they're detrimental to us. Sometimes it's our lives. Our lives are at stake. And it's time for us, brothers, you may not have a daughter, but I'm sure some of you have nieces. You have sisters. You were born from a woman. You have a mother. Right. You have Madea. So when you see something, we need you all to act on it. Don't be afraid of not saying something to somebody's baby, because if it don't look right, guess what? It's not right. And some of these kids who are caught up out here in sex trafficking, they're hoping that somebody recognizes that, hey, this really ain't my daddy. Or, hey, she really ain't my mama. Or somebody, please help me, afraid of what they've been taught, afraid of what has been instilled in their minds. We got to wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, as Spike Lee says. Wake up. I'm telling you all, I used to suppress so much anger, so much pain and destruction because I didn't have an outlet. 14 years of my life, I was molested by my mother's boyfriend, who later became her husband. Shame on him. Shame on him. Shame on everybody who knew and didn't do anything. Shame on all those people who did not rescue me. I was hurting. And I would be in a crowd of people and I'm making eye contact, hoping that somebody would pick up on those signs. Yeah. I know I wasn't the only one sleeping because I was watching people watch him fondle me. I was watching people watch him put his hands on me. I was watching people watch him, how he would react with me around people. This man wasn't afraid to show who he was or who he thought I was to him. I wasn't his woman. He was supposed to be raising me, caring for me, but he missed the mark. He saw something. I don't know anything attractive about a 3-year-old. The only thing big about a 3-year-old is a smile. The only thing about a 5-year-old is the smile gets bigger. 10-year-old, the smile gets wider. However, those smiles turn into frowns if they're sexually assaulted. Give our babies a chance. Give our babies a chance. And again, I thank you all for allowing me this opportunity to come in and raise awareness. And for those of you who have been sexually assaulted, for our females, my sisters keepers is looking out for you. We have a support group called Her Story. We meet once a month in a physical location on Emory University's campus. Thank you, goodness. Thank you, God, for Emory University. And then we also have an online support group on Facebook. So I actually have some people from Vegas who are part of the group. I have some folks who are from Atlanta, from Chicago, from Dallas. So you're not alone. I don't want anybody, there's too many people in this world for anybody to say that they don't have anybody to talk to. I'll be doggone, yes you do. I have a hotline where you can call and I'll be answering that phone. We also have the ability to receive text messages as well. I thank goodness for my extremely supportive husband who just allows me to do what it is that I do. And knowing that I've been through what I've been through, I thank goodness for my brother Horace.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our listeners. And again, during Super Bowl, we need you to be vigilant. And when everybody else goes back home and we're here in Atlanta all by ourselves, let's still take care of our babies. Thank you all so much.
Well, we got some questions online.
Absolutely.
Been jumping. People want to know what the hotline number is, the website, and things of that nature. But what are some signs that sexual assault, if there are some, or if there are some trained people that can see signs of some sexual assault activities, or the effect of the depression that people can go through, or that place that you go to, what are some of the things that you can point to that can possibly say she's been touched or he's been touched?
All right. Now, it's not in the water. It's not in the milk. When you see a 10-year-old girl who's fully developed, when I was 10, I had a big booty. I did. I hated having a big booty, but people didn't know that's because I was always being fondled. Now, the doctor may say, oh, no, that's not how it works. No, no, no. I'm telling you, yes, 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 yes. If you see a little girl who's fully developed, that's a sign. If you see a little girl who's a little bit more promiscuous than other little girls, who's fast, that's a sign. If you see a little girl who's off to herself, that's a sign as well. You see an overachiever, that's a sign. If you see someone acting out, that's a sign. There are so many signs, and I'll tell you, most people look at kids and they say, the one who's over in the corner acting out, that's a problem child. And while they're paying attention to that one child, they're missing all the others sitting in the classroom. You know, statistics show that it's reported that 1 in 4 girls will be sexually assaulted or has been sexually assaulted before the age of 18. And you know what? If a teacher has a class of 20 kids, do you know that's 5 little girls in her classroom? That's ridiculous. Our number should be far lower than that. So don't forget to look for those signs. The girls who's showing everything that they really don't have, they think they have, that's a sign. And even for little boys who are always rubbing up on a little girl, fondling her, kids should know sexual acts. They should not be portraying or acting those scenes out. You might want to question he or she. And then I'll speak to the depression. What does that look like? All signs. Now, when I was being sexually assaulted, I was a bubbly girl. Nobody thought that I was being molested. I was scared to even give people a clue what was going on with me. So I was the fun girl. I still am the fun girl. I'm the social butterfly. So you know, most people, even to this day, I didn't know you were sexually assaulted. I didn't know you were being molested. Baby, I didn't want you to know. For the sake of my life, my mother's, brothers, and sisters' lives, I didn't want anybody to know. So the signs are: watch for the person who never really wants to go home. Watch for the child who always wants to spend the night over somebody else's house except for their own. Watch for the child who's extremely active. Watch for the child who was once active and bubbly. If they've reverted and they're now an introvert, check that baby out. If that child is always having these conversations that only adults should have, check that baby out. If you see a little girl always around a bunch of boys, check the baby out. And vice versa. If you see a boy always around little girls, you might want to check him out too. Some of our kids have not been taught to articulate their feelings. Shame on us as parents. Shame on us for being our children's friend and not the authoritative figure in our homes. You know, it's sad that a child has to go outside the home to get love. And there's this old adage that says, you know, what one won't do, another one will. That's true. If we don't love our babies and take care of our babies, the streets just waiting for them. The streets are just waiting for us to slip up, fall asleep on our jobs so they can grab our babies up. They'll embrace them. That's what gangbangers do. Most gangbangers will tell you, they love me. I didn't get that love from my mama. I didn't get that love from my daddy. And most little girls or boys will say, my mama wasn't there for me. My mama was never home. Well, I can't say that. My mother was always home. My mother always cooked. This was happening right up under my mother's eyes. And mama, if your baby has the strength and the fortitude to tell you that something is going on, you damn well better believe it. Because I'm telling you, most of us, we get so comfortable. When I say us, I'm talking about my sisters. We get so comfortable with having a boo in our home. Well, guess what? Boo ain't there just for you. Some of these boos want our babies too. Sadly for us. And guess what? Sex offenders aren't just men. I've read stories where women have sexually assaulted their children. How disgusting is that? How disgusting is that? I've seen videos in my research. I've seen videos and watched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people say, yeah, that was a sense of normalcy for me. Guess what? I agree with them. Being molested, that was a sense of normalcy for me. I'll raise my hand. I'm going to tell my story, and I want everybody else who's been sexually assaulted to join with me. Share your story. It's not our fault. This thing chose us. We didn't choose it. But guess what? If you choose life today, one day you too will be able to live to share your story as well. Thank goodness I never followed through with my suicidal thoughts. Thank goodness I'm able to be here today, raise my hand, have a party, shout out, I survived, I survived, I survived. Thank God I survived. And I'm ready to help some babies survive too.
That is. Chad just sent me a note saying that you survived and in order to give him a headache.
Yes.
But I do have to ask this question, and maybe this is to touch on some of the things. Blending families when you have kids, bringing people into your homes, and the biological person having an issue with it, but because you're thinking about just yourself, you're going to bring this person into your home when you have, as you call them, babies. How aware do we need to be when we start to bringing our booze into our homes and making this a blended family situation, but you could possibly making this a worse situation than you probably thought at first? How aware?
I'm going to tell you this. I lived that blended family lifestyle, and when I had my 3 children, I vowed to that man, my ex-husband, that I don't care if we don't make it. If we break up, when you leave, you taking these babies right along with you. I did not want another man. I joked about it, but I meant that. I didn't want another man over my kids because I knew how hard it was for my brother, sister, and I to live with this man. I mean, my mother, I'm not going to even use the word love that man. My mother feared that man. I'll be totally honest. He put the fear of God in us. And I stayed with my ex-husband, because I didn't want another man over my kids. I was miserable. I remember saying when my daughter was about 10, the day she graduates, I'm divorcing him. I'm going to hand him my divorce papers at commencement ceremony. Couldn't last that long. So I met my husband, and it was rough. We had a good time, but I'll tell you one thing. I'll be honest with myself. I didn't give myself a chance to get to know who I was after divorce. I went in from one relationship right into a next relationship. There was no transition. It was like, okay, one and done. Okay, here's another one. We were having a good time. We moved in together. My kids hated it. They hated it because they only known their father. Right. And I know it was uncomfortable for my husband, but we tried to make it work. And if my kids are listening, they're probably saying, yeah, right. We did our best, Mom. We did our best. They did it for me, and I can appreciate that. But I'm telling you, I have one daughter. She's 23. That is the love of my life. That young woman. I love that girl. And I'm telling you, she has a nice shape. And Brittany knows that you cannot walk around my house looking any kind of way with your butt cheeks out, your boobs showing, no ma'am, not on my watch. And he'll be the first to tell you, Brittany, where you think you going dressed like that? You better go put something else on. Now, good for me that my husband never approached my daughter. You know how I know? I asked. I've asked her several times. My husband may have not known this, but guess what? That's my baby. I love you, but I for dang gonna show love this girl right here. Right. I don't want to complete that cycle. At some point, somebody has to wake up, and I woke up. It was difficult. I mean, sometimes I was on the edge. I'm like, Man, where Brittany at? Where's she at? Brittany, what you doing? Where you at? Where you at? Where he at? And I used to, don't laugh at this, honey, but when you used to leave out the room and Brittany was in another room, I'm looking there, I'm listening, I'm on heightened alert. Why was I living like that? Why do we do ourselves like that? Why do we open up our homes to our precious babies? But if Buddy asks us for our debit card number, we're highly offended. But we'll let you watch our kids.
Yeah.
So we have to be more conscientious of where we go, who we're meeting, and who we're bringing home to our kids.
Right.
Now, I can't tell you don't bring another man over your kids because I did it. I was blessed that it did not happen to my daughter. And she still lives at home when she's home from college. But I know that my daughter is well aware that she can talk to me about anything.
Right.
I don't want her to be afraid to, well, I can't talk to my mom about this or about that. Baby, yes, you can. I'm going to be so upset if something happens and you don't talk to me about it because I can't help what I don't know. And I can't heal when you're hurting if I don't know. So my kids were taught, talk about it. And kids are brutally honest.
Right.
My boys told me early on in this relationship, Ma, we don't like him. We don't like him. And I had the audacity to tell my kids, that's your problem. He's not here for you. He's here for me. And the boys went on. But there was still my daughter there with whom I had to protect. Thank goodness he was my partner of protection for my daughter. Mm-hmm. He's a gap filler for my daughter. So I thank you.
You said something interesting. And, you know, I'll use my wife because she'll check me in a minute on certain things. If I, you know, even intimate that, and don't take this wrong, I'm not saying, well, you like you said, the way they're dressed or with their butt cheeks out or with low cut. And she had to change my way of thinking even with that. Even if the young lady is butt naked, that's still her. There's no open invitation for a man to take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
Right. And, you know, I think the ignorance of us as men and the times we grew up in, you know, like you said, don't whatever goes on in this house goes on in this house. Stay in the family and what. I think that way of thinking did kind of cloud the way we as men have adjusted and grown up. And, you know, just being around her, she's kind of taught me a lot of things like that. Like, my son wanted to go stay at someone's house. I'd be like, yeah, go ahead, man, get something, go. And she's like, are you crazy? You don't know those people.
Yes.
And then, it's like, you know, I've had to really, you know, a lot of times, you know me, I'm like, well, you don't know me, but they know me. I'm like, man, that's you just going overboard. But the realization of how society is and things that have happened and how she's enlightened me and opened my eyes to a lot of things really makes me see the world differently. And even listening to you, you know, I can actually hear her voice like, this is what I've been saying, you know, so, you know, I appreciate you coming in and sharing your story and,
Thank you.
You know, really saying those things to us. So it's,
Thank you.
It's really
All right,
powerful.
so we got to move on, but you got to give everybody a number, website, how to contact you if they need to reach out with you to talk, because you say you're available for talking.
Yes.
Anything, sexual assault, depression, all kind of things. Please give your information and your social media information.
All right. So the name of the organization is My Sisters Keepers of Atlanta. Our phone number is 404-439-9331. That's 439-9331. Let me do that one more time. 439 Yes, 9331. Yes. And our website, forgive me, I'm a little parched here, but our web address is iammysk.org, and that's short for I Am My Sister's Keepers. And one more time, iammysk.org. Social media handles, Facebook, we are at IAMMYSK. On Instagram, we are at My Sisters Keepers _ And our phone number, we are available for text messages as well. And her story is the support group. Our next support group meeting is February 9th. We are on Eventbrite, so look us up. It's Her Story Support Group for Victims and Survivors of Sexual Assault. We love to see you come out if you're interested and you are a female victim and or survivor only. Nothing for the families just yet, but go out on Eventbrite and look us up and please register. We would love to have you in there. It's time for us to step from behind the shadows of our past so we can start living our best lives.
Yeah. Author.
I am.
Yes, come on with it. You got 30 seconds.
Yes, currently I am writing a book, and my book will debut between spring and fall of 2019. I am a certified empowerment life coach. I am trained in suicide prevention, certified. My husband corrected me the other day. And again, I am the founder and executive director of My Sister's Keepers and Her Story.
Yeah, it is. Hey, listen, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And before I let you go, as I introduce you, one of the biggest things I did not say is that I am proud to call you a true friend. We've known each other for a while through some blue shirts and some EDUs and things of that nature. But I really appreciate everything that you stand for.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I appreciate your story. You have to come back.
Yes.
You have to come back to tell more stories and to get this message out and to make sure that all of America, especially in the ATL, we are aware of some of these things. And that group that you guys have once a month, I'm pretty sure it is fantastic. Thanks for all those who had tuned in to listen to this. Thanks for the questions and things of that nature, man. Listen, Sports Roundtable, this is what we do. This is we try to get back to the community as well, not just talk sports, but this has been a great platform and a great forum, and we really appreciate Dawn for stopping by.
Yes.
And we got to take a break. We got to get over to the other half so we can give out this fire stick. So y'all keep it locked. We'll be right back. You listen to Sports Roundtable with SRT Crew on the Real 1100 and SRTRadio.com.